Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
All right, very good. Let's move on then to the final fixture.
Yep.
The Force and the Chiefs. Before we get into some injuries from Harry, / giving him time to think of any injuries or returning, I think the biggest talking point out of this game will be some of these young Chiefs players will finally get an opportunity to get Richard Kahui's autograph. You know what I mean? They've wanted it for years. An old man who's back.
Have you heard Kahui came out, a man that I think finished his rugby career in Super Rugby prior to last year where they didn't play any Kiwis in like 2013. He goes, everybody's in for a surprise in Super Rugby AU. Mate, everybody else has played the Kiwis far more recently than you. You are in for a surprise, you old man. Everybody else has been playing the Kiwis up until last year. How can he say everyone's in for a surprise? Yes, you're Kiwi, mate. You haven't played them for 7 or 8 years. They played them early last year.
Mate,
what value is he adding with that comment?
Every game he plays, he is surprised that he's still playing. You know what I mean? He's that old.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, but he has been great, though. Richard
Kahui.
Why are you talking shit about Kahui? He's great.
I'm not. He's been fantastic. He's been one of their best players.
He came out in the last 2 days saying Super Rugby AU teams are going to be in for a surprise when they come up against Super Rugby Aotearoa teams. Mate, it's been 12 months since we've played them. It's been 7 or 8 years since you've played them. It's a weird point to make.
This is one of these things which to me just proves how you two really bite at little media tidbits, just like the old, Ben Smith article recently trashing South Africa. You love it, mate. It's like a match day bonus, mate. I'm sure they're like, Richard, here's a bonus. Just go and we need a tidbit for the papers. We need to get everyone raging. We need Nelson to go on a podcast and start yelling about this. Come on, mate.
What the people want.
It's just something for the papers, brother.
All right, let's push on because let's be honest, if we're going to hang around talking about what upsets Nelson, we'll be here all day.
That's true. Did you find any injuries or to report or anyone returning or anything like that?
The main one from the Western Force was Byron Ralston went through his concussion protocols from round 8. He got concussed. So I think there's a chance that we see him. And then the other one, there's nothing else with a lot of detail. I think it was worth mentioning that Thomas Lozana, who has been out with a foot injury, he's just signed for the Scarlets, or I think he's about to sign for the Scarlets, apparently. So he's on the way out. So great recruiting from the Western Force to buy a team that doesn't hang around for more than the one season to get cohesion. So awesome. And Rob Kearney. Yeah, he is a quad strain from late in round 9. So I don't know how severe that is, but if it's a low grade, you might see him.
Well, every week they kept saying he was going to be back, didn't they? Whatever. Like they said, he'd be back for the semi-final, and then
a low grade, yeah. I think he had a second injury in round 9. I think it was after that he was never in the picture again.
I called it when he flew over here, mate. He's here for a holiday and for some beaches that you can't swim on over in Western Australia.
Mate, I can't back that because last year he was slow and his improvement this year has been immense. You know, extra 12 months in a professional, set up again. He got back into some decent form. But look, who's going to play fullback for the Force? That's my question. I prefer McGregor. They started Strawn in one of their most recent match, was it? Or why?
I don't know.
Yeah,
seriously?
I don't know the reason.
Is there something we don't know about? Because McGregor is far better as an option. Maybe they were drinking when they announced the team lineups. I don't know.
Yeah, they just at training they had a race or something, or like whoever wins this race gets to start at fullback.
No, because I feel McGregor would have won that and he would have been starting.
Something like that, yeah. Something, I don't know. Bit of a weird one. I'm with you. It should be McGregor. I'm not sure if I can say that it will be McGregor because they keep doing weird things with selections. They're not actually interested in putting the best team in any 1 week.
They think the opposite of cohesion, which is what a lot of their fans back, which is fair. Like they have far surpassed what I thought they were going to do, and I think both of you boys thought they were going to do this year. And I mean, it's gone in the face of cohesion. They've done far better, and the back end of that Super Rugby AU was really, really good. But I don't think Strawn was the right choice for them. I think they've got to go with the players that they know, players that have been there, and McGregor's their choice.
This wouldn't be a rugby podcast if the word cohesion didn't get thrown around at least 30 times. But no, I think I have been. I think all of us have been surprised. But for me, the Force's defence has just been unbelievable. Their rush defence, the way they fill the width of the field, they really try and force you to go around the outside, but they make it difficult to do so. They have been, I would say, probably could be one of the best defending team in Super Rugby AU. For mine, if you look at it as off season.
I think it's fair because they haven't been the best attacking side, but they've been able to, lower the ability of the teams coming up against them in regular weeks. Not every single week, but regularly they can definitely bring down the level of the other side. We know the Chiefs like to play open, expansive footy, and I mean, one of the issues with open, expansive footy is if the other team has a very, very well-structured defensive line, it can definitely dull that, where you'd be more relying on a chip over the top from Damian McKenzie than open spaces off a kick from the Force if the defensive line can come up as a cohesive unit and shut them down. So the Force are going to have a massive week in defence. And I mean, it's something we know they can do. I'm not saying that I think this is a possible win for them, but they're going to have their best defensive week, I think, of all year. And it's been definitely a strength for them.
I think, if you guys if you can think of anything else, you can tack it on to me. But in terms of selection stuff for the Force, the only other interesting one for me, I talked a lot about why aren't they starting Akira. Mate, why aren't they starting Fergus Lee Warner? You know what I mean? I understand this hype around Tim Anstey in the Wallabies squad from after scoring one try. And don't get me wrong, I love Tim Anstey. We all love Tim Anstey. But, mate, start Fergus Lee Warner in the locks.
Who would you start him over, mate?
Any lock that is starting in that team. He would be my first choice.
Would you drop Thrush or Tamani, is your question?
Well, I would drop Thrush, but
I'm
going to soft spot for Tamani.
Yeah, no, I'm on a similar sort of wavelength as you at the moment. I quite like Thrush. I think he's impressed me more than I expected in his ripe old age of 83 or whatever he's playing at the moment. But Tamani, since his return, has been quite physical, and I've actually liked what he's added to the side. So I think Lee Warner and Tamani as a lock pairing could be quite good. And then it means we don't have to worry about dropping Anstey as well. You're giving them both a chance. They're both quite dynamic players for their size, so they can get around the paddock. Again, something that's going to be extremely important against this absolutely ridiculous. We haven't touched on it yet, but absolutely ridiculous Chiefs back row. That is going to be almost impossible to stop.
Let's just Anstey. He's young. He needs his opportunity to come off the bench. Like, he has not been as dynamic since starting week in, week out. Yeah,
let's be honest. Tim Anstey should go for the Olympics and then come back and commit long term and see what he can do in Super Rugby. But I think if Fergus Lee Warner, if they keep bringing him off the bench for the Super Rugby Trans Tasman, I mean, I'd be interested to see how long his contract is, because that's a surefire way to get someone like him to sign overseas, and that would be a huge.
No, don't sign him overseas, mate. The Waratahs will take the bloke.
No, well, mate, the Waratahs don't sign players. Least of all locks. Apparently, we're not interested in any locks.
He's 194 He's 194 centimetres. He's a back rower. We sign back rowers. So we will take him as a back rower and play him in the locks, like we're going to probably do with Hannigan, to be fair. But I'd put him over Hannigan happily. He's only 27. Right.
We've talked long and too much right then about Ned Hannigan, just saying his name twice. And similarly, we can't talk longer about the Force than we can about the Chiefs. The Chefs, how good. Some attacking weapons. What are we going to see with the Chiefs? I don't think they really had any injuries in the final. So I guess the only thing that's interesting is, will Etene Nanai-Seturo, does this also mean he will not be playing any games?
He's gone, mate. He is gone. You will definitely not see him. As simple as that. Okay,
well then who slides into the DMs on the left or right wing? I know the answer that you guys want, Chase Tia. That's not even we could just move on in podcast. But Do we see Chase going straight in, or do we see Shooter, Sean Wainui?
Take this away from me, Cargie. Chase Tea.
Look, it's tough to be fair. Look, it's hard to know what they will back. I don't think it will be Shooter. It can't be Shooter. If they have any idea what they're doing, it has to be Wainui because they've backed him with his stability and he's quite a stable, strong player for them. Or it has to be Tia if they want to go.
Balin Sullivan. They just get Sullivan in there,
I'll take that too. But look, it's not going to happen. Tia would be my first preference. Wainui is who I think they will probably pick.
I think we'll see for sure Naktoya Arkoi back in starting. Don't know how he was on the bench for Mitch Brown last week.
I don't know.
Is he that for me in a final? But
I think, is he injured?
He was on the bench. He came off the bench, and Mitch Brown was starting in the grand final, which I did not understand. Harry?
Okay.
No, I thought it was. I think they said it was because he was coming back from an injury.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I've got the.
I don't know. That's what I heard, but that doesn't make
Sorry,
sense.
boys. I've got confirmation. He is not in their touring squad to Perth. He is out injured.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's not in their travelling squad.
All right. Well, then it's probably going to be Mitch Brown. Otherwise, it'd be Josh Lord or.
Mitch Brown and Tupavaya or Josh Lord and Tupavaya. That's their centres. The centres, second rows.
Okay. And do we see them just rolling out their A class, Jacobson, Boshier, and Peter Gus? Is that what we think?
Honestly, I think that's what we're going to see in that back row. None of them really need rests. They've had rests throughout the year. I'd be putting them in together, giving them more chance to build that, that cohesion. I hate to say it again, but get them all playing together. I think that's what I'd be picking.
I think he's injured, but I would definitely be putting in one of my boys, Taulani or Capelli, in there in that back row. God, those guys are sick. But no, I think
Capelli's there, mate. Capelli's there, but he won't be starting in the back row unless they're trying to rest people.
I was thinking about this the other day. Do you think that having Peter Gus Sobakula starting with the amount of runs that he's taking, does it downgrade the potential earnings from a fantasy perspective from Jacobson and Boshier because they won't be able to do the same amount of running themselves?
I agree. That's a really good point. And one of you should trade Jacobson or Boshier to me in my team and just get it, sell them high. Sell them high to me. I think that's a good idea.
No, look, I'd say you're probably right on that point, to be fair, because he will definitely take runs away from both those players. The thing is that both those players have such high work rates that it'll probably be diminished in a way because they'll find their way to work themselves into the game, whether it's over the ball or it's defensively or things like that. But, I mean, potentially they're going to lose the chance with ball in hand, at least a little bit when you have a player of Sorkula's, running class. So, I mean, it is a relevant point, but I wouldn't be too worried about either of them.
Yeah, good shout. I think, look, the Force, we've talked about how good their D is and particularly their rush D. So it'll be interesting to get up in the face of Bryn Gatland, who probably will be starting at 10. I think that the danger for the Force, though, is the Chiefs just going out the back to D-Mac and just throwing it around. You know what I mean? Like, D-Mac loves a rush defense line, so he can just kind of weave his way around it, the magician. So
what the Force need to do is something that's never been done before. And you've got two homing missiles on D-Mac, on the left side and on the right side. Whenever he touches the ball, both these players run directly at him to try and cover him and hit him at the same time, because that's the only way you're going to stop this man. And even then, you probably won't stop him.
It's true. We should just earmark someone for the red card on D-Mac this week. Just take him out for the competition.
Hey, that's Super Rugby AU. Our strength is getting red carded. Send someone else out there to get red carded and try to take him out of the game. I hope he doesn't get hurt, but take him out of the game with an injury.
That's it. A 5 or 6 week recovery injury.
Yeah. No, I hope not.
But, yeah. Any other points on this one? I think for mine, the Chiefs attack will just be, it'll be too expansive, and I just don't know. I mean, the Force have showed that they can keep up this level of D for the whole 80 minutes, which was certainly a concern last year. They particularly showed that in the semi-final where, they got yellow carded and they still held out the Brumbies, throughout the whole yellow card period in the second half. So it is going to be interesting to see, what the Chiefs come up with, what innovative way they come up with to attack through that, whether it's a chip through or whatever. But I'm sure the Chiefs will find a way. So if we're going tipping, I'm prepared to tip the Chiefs here, and by, I might not even go as big with the Chiefs. I might go by 12.
Right. I'm going to keep talking. So I actually am looking forward to the set piece battle here as well. I feel like the Western Force have been quite strong in that area. I'm looking forward to seeing the Chiefs scrum, which I think has been a real strength this year, and how that matches up to the front row of Tom Robertson, Faleti Kaitu'u, and probably Medrano, I would think. I think that's been a real interesting battle in the Australian Conference and the New Zealand Conference. So I'm not sure who's going to come out on top. And I think that's a massive advantage for one side if they can get dominance there. Do you guys have a pick for that one?
The Chiefs. I think everyone, yes, the Force front row, the Force set piece has been very, very good. But I think everyone tends to forget how good the Chiefs set piece is. This Chiefs set piece is genuinely amazing. They've taken it to the Crusaders. They've taken it to a number of teams. Arguably, the Chiefs have had, over the most of Super Rugby, or over the games, they've probably had one of the form set pieces, I'd say. Oh, it's certainly the scrum.
Look, I'm not necessarily as sold. I know we know that the Chiefs set piece is very solid. If you have Medrano on one prop and Robertson on the other prop for the Force, that is absolutely ridiculous and really, really solid. One of the issues they had in the semi-final, though, was the scrum. So something that we've seen them, thrive in through most of Super Rugby throughout the year and be a real strength for them, all of a sudden disappeared when it came to a pressure match that was the semi-final. I think they won 1 of 5 scrums. So I don't know where that came from and what led to that, but we know they can be strong. But if that's your last match, surely, you're not going to be able to get over the top of the Chiefs.
They have been really good at lineouts, though, haven't they, Harry? The Force as well. So that'll be big. That'll be a great contest there.
I don't know.
Well, sorry, the throw-in hadn't been great, but the defensive lineouts have been really good. The guys got up.
I was going to say, my tip was actually for neither team to win a single one of their own lineouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was talking more about scrum. Yeah, no.
Is there a betting market on that, Harry? Have you found one? Or?
I'll make one. Yeah, I'll make one.
Lineouts are concerning. Look, I think in Super Rugby AU, a lot of Aussie teams haven't competed against the Force. Mainly, you think back to the Tars match, but I also think, Rebels and things at times haven't really competed against the Force, and they have not thrown straight regularly. So, I'd have one simple thing if I was the Chiefs coach, and it would be put someone up. I don't care if you know any of the ball. Have someone jumping to look like you're competing for the ball, and guess what? They're going to get pinged 2-3 times for not straight in a match.
Guys, I'm going to tip. I know, Cargie, you've given yours. I'm going to go Chiefs by 21 points.
Out of pure faith and confidence in Super Rugby AU, nothing to do with the red wine, nothing to do with my bets. I'm going to say the Force. I almost can't say it, boys. I'm going to say all I've learned over doing this. This is my 100th pod, boys. No one's mentioned it. This is my 100th pod, and the thing I need to point out is there is no accountability on this pod. That's something that needs to change, but not this week because I have cheated.
Sorry, are you coming out here tipping all the Aussie teams, and you're trying to bring up accountability for next week?
No,
do you know what shooting yourself in the foot is, mate? Are you?
Cargie, that's what I've learned. There's no accountability. So I'm going to put out what I want the results to be to the world, so hopefully it's more likely to come true. The Force are going to win this one, boys. I don't believe it. The Force are going to win this one by 3 points, and I am going to win $300,000.
I've put down Kiwis to win by 13 plus in all 5 games.
Yeah, fair.
That was what's the odds on that? $2 or something?
$10. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that takes us to the end of the main course.